Yeah, it really doesn't matter to me if something happened before I got here, something happened after I got here. Um, there's going to be total transparency in this program. If you make a mistake, it's a mistake. I mean, it's a privilege to play major college football, and I've said it since I came here. People probably didn't know what I meant, but I'm not afraid to lose a football game if it means sacrificing the foundation we're trying to build. So it really doesn't matter to me if it happened under the previous regime, or if it happened in the case of David Vega, who was a walk-on, or Tim Foley, who was a walk-on, or Devontae Tabana, who was a scholarship player. If a mistake was made, it's going to be brought, as soon as I find out, it's going to be exposed. There's total transparency. So there was a mistake made here sometime last year. We knew. Actually, there was an appeal process that they went through. So it certainly doesn't take me by surprise. We knew it was coming. And they went through an appeal process. So, you know what? It's all part of, rebuilding a football program. That's what this is. But, in a way, it's a cleansing process. There's nothing that's going to go, if I know about it, that doesn't get exposed. And there's no way guys are going to pretend through this program. I mean, it is a privilege to play college football. It's a privilege to play for the University of New Mexico. That doesn't mean guys won't make mistakes. But as soon as I find out, it's going to be exposed. It's that simple.
Coach, can you say you've been saying that there mistakes were made? Can you elaborate on what those mistakes were?
This one was actually a situation involving guys were given a FedEx number, a university FedEx number by a member of the previous staff, from what I understand, and they actually FedEx some things home. They were told they could do that, which you can't do that. So they're in the process of paying those things back, but they're penalized games. You look at 4 games for FOT2, that's significant. We may redshirt FOT2 anyhow. In fact, that's kind of the plans. But for Rod Davis, 2 games for his senior year. At some point they're old enough to know, even though they're told or given something. I think they're old enough to know right from wrong. And the reality is, it's illegal to do that. So even though they were told to do it, even though the account was given them to use, it's a mistake. So they learn from it.
Do you know who gave them?
I do, but I'm not going to say. That's for somebody else to make that decision.
Are
And
they
again, it doesn't matter if it happened before I got here, after I got here. A mistake was made, and guys are paying the penalty for it. They're going to repay. They're in the process of doing that now, and we move on.
Do you know like dollar amount on what they
I'm not going to get into all that.
opening season? First game is Saturday. Did you anticipate anything like this?
Oh yeah. I'll be honest. When I came into this, my eyes were wide open. That's not just at the University of New Mexico. That's any place a new head coach comes in. A new head coach comes in for a reason. In fact, I went through the whole spring where I said to our staff every day, I was surprised that there weren't really more issues. Other than a lot of players deciding this wasn't for them, the way we do things, we really had no off-the-field issue, period. All through all that players coming, players going through the spring. So I knew this was inevitable. Again, I think it's all part of the process. It really is. So mistake was made. Let's be transparent with it, and let's move on.
You weren't counting on Fatu. How does not having Rod affect the
I wasn't counting on Rod. I knew Rod was going to miss games, and I would have announced it earlier. I wanted to announce it the day that we knew they would miss games. But I thought it was fair to them to let them go through the appeal process. We got the answer today, that what it was. It's 2 games for Rod and 4 games for Fatu. So I was never going to mislead someone. It's just talking to our people here. It was best that they just finished the process of appeal before we announced it. So I knew those guys weren't going to play early in the year.
Coach, message to Lobo fans who are excited about you coming on board, excited about this season and this happening. What would you tell them?
It's all part of it. This program didn't get in this situation overnight. It's not going to get turned around overnight. And I can understand if there's overreaction out there, but again, not overreaction, there's reaction. Again, everything is going to be exposed. We're totally transparent. If a young guy makes a mistake, he's going to learn from his mistake, and maybe sometimes guys need to learn the hard way, but we will not cover one thing up. As soon as I know about it, you'll be the first to know about it.
Do you anticipate any more players being suspended?
Well, I hope not. If we have any more, I might be out there playing. No, I think when you really look at it and you look at what goes on around college football, unfortunately, I don't know that we've really had anything more happen than anyone else, to be quite honest. That's not meaning that doesn't mean that if one thing happens, that's not more than should happen. But it's all part of the process. I feel pretty good, to be honest. I feel pretty good, and it's kind of a cleansing, refreshing thing that guys that make mistakes get exposed, and let's build a foundation and go forward.